here we are to read chapter 52. Everyone, please pay very close attention, cried Mr. Limoncello through a squealing, screeching megaphone. The Dewey Decimal doors are now open, and unlike Tuck, this game will not be everlasting. Therefore, it is time to race upstairs like the rats of Nim. Kyle and his teammates heard Mr. Limoncello's announcement, but stayed inside community meeting room B so they could examine the dusty old boot box. It's from when Mr. Limoncello was our age, said Haley. Here, I'm pretty sure this is what we need. She handed Kyle a large manila envelope, sealed up with tons of tape. First and worst idea ever had been scribbled on the front. Awesome, said Kyle, as he started undoing the tape. The clue said his first idea might be our best solution. Inside the envelope were a stack of cards, a bunch of rubber stamps, an ink pad, and a sheet of 3-ring binder paper filled with a 5th grader's sloppy handwriting. Kyle read out loud what the young Luigi Limoncello had written. Presenting first letters, the amazingly incredible secret code game. Haley held up some of the cards. Each one showed a cartoony drawing with a single letter. Apple equals A. B equals B. Carrot equals C. And so on. Kyle continued reading. Want to send your friend a secret message to meet you after school? Just use your super secret rubber stamps. Miguel examined a couple of the wood-handled stamps. The stamps match the cards. So, how exactly do you use this junk to tell your friends to meet you after school? Asked Akemi. This is so bad, said Kyle. Moon, elephant, elephant, tiger, moon, elephant, apple, flamingo. Akemi held up her hand. Okay, stop. I get it. Maybe it was for little kids, said Sierra. Definitely, said Kyle, because nobody over the age of 6 could crack this code in like 10 seconds. And then he froze. That's it. He went to the wall with the list of library cards. What would happen if we played first letters with these book titles? Books and authors on the backs of library cards. Number 1, Miguel Fernandez. Incident at Hawks Hill by Alan W. Eckert. No, David, by David Shannon. Number 2, Akemi Hughes. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, by Dr. Seuss. 9 stories by J.D. Salinger. Number 3, Andrew Peckelman. 6 Days of the Condor by James Grady. And 8 Cousins by Louisiana May Alcott. Number 4, Bridget Wadge. Tales of a 4th Grade Nothing by Judy Blume. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Number 5, Sierra Russell. The Egypt Game by Zilpha Keedy Snyder. The Wrestling Game by Ellen Raskin. Number 6. Yasmin Smith Snyder, Around the World in 80 Days, by Jules Verne. And The Yak Who Yelled Yuck, by Carol Pulgino Martin. Number 7. Sean Keegan, Olivia, by Ian Falconer. Unreal, by Paul Jennings. Number 8. Turtle in Paradise, by Jennifer L. Holm. And A Wrinkle in Time, by Madeline L. Engel. Number 9. Rose Vermette, All of a Kind Family, by Sidney Taylor. And Scat, by Carl Hyson. Number 10. Kayla Corson, Anna to the Infinite Power, by Mildred Ames. And Where the Sidewalk Ends, by Schnell Silverstein. Number 11. Unknown, Charles Chiltington. Number 12. Kyle Keeley, I Love You. Stinky Face, by Lisa McCourt. And The Napping House, by Audrey Wood. Okay, said Miguel, moving to a clean space on the wall. Here are the first letters of all the titles. INONSETTATAOUTAASAW question mark IT. It still makes no sense, said Akemi. Wait a second, said Sierra. If the title starts with an article, drop that word and use the letter from the second word. Got it, said Miguel. That then spells INONSETTEWASAW question mark IN. Okay, said Akemi. It's making some sense now. And she went to the board and wrote Miguel's string of letters into words. I non set he way out was AW question mark IN. Hang on, said Kyle. It could be in on se the way out was AW question mark IN. What's IN on SC? Said Akemi. Wait, look, said Miguel. The books on the second and third library cards actually start with numbers. So Kyle grabbed the marker. In 1968, the way out was AW question mark IN. Hang on, said Haley. You know all those questions in the trivia contest on Friday? I did so badly, I Googled a bunch of them later that night. They were all from 1968. You guys, said Sierra. I did some research as well. Mr. Limoncello was born in 1956. That means he turned 12 in 1968. Okay, said Akemi. Is this something besides a fun fact that you just know and tell? You bet it is, said Kyle. 1968 is a key. And we don't need Charles's library card to finish this phrase. He went to the whiteboard. In 1968, the way out was a way in. So what happened in 1968, said Haley. Was that when Charlie and the Chocolate Factory came out? Asked Miguel. No, said Sierra. 1964. So what's up with the candy clue from the art and the artifacts room? We messed up, said Akemi. We need to go back and find a new rhyme for Andy. Really, said Haley. I thought he got kicked out for cheating. Another long story, said Miguel. For later, said Kyle. Right now, we need to be on the 3rd floor. Chapter 53. Back in the art and artifacts room, Kyle felt confident they were pretty close to figuring it out. Well, whatever it was they were supposed to be figuring it out. How it would help them escape from the library was still anybody's guess. It's 10:44, said Akemi. The last clue would pop up on the Wonder Dome in 16 minutes. Okay, you guys, said Kyle, spread out. We need a new rhyme for Andy. And this model of the bank building came in handy, said Miguel. The Dandy Bandits, shouted Akemi, once again studying the display of hats. Yes, said Haley, pulling off her shoe so she could show everybody her clue card. Bandits. I found this in the 300s room. That's the room clue we're waiting for, said Kyle. Because the Dewey Decimal number for true crime books always starts with the number 3, said Miguel. When we find that book, it'll tell us how and where the bandits crawled in 1968. Listen to this, you guys, said Akemi. She read a placard in the display case. This plaid fedora from 1968 was worn by a bank robber, Leopold Laballi, one of the notorious dandy bandits. Laballi, Miguel shouted. The smell-o-vision clue, said Kyle. That's why everything kept smelling like pine trees. Laballi was one of the pine trees in the answer Mr. Limoncello gave you guys, said Haley. Whoop, 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 said Mr. Limoncello as Banana Shoes kept squeaking. He stepped into the room. Well done, Miss Daly and Miss Hughes. See, said Akemi, I was right the first time we came in here. And I said dandy. And everyone else said no, candy, Willy Wonka. Yes, it's all coming back to me, Mr. Limoncello said. 1968, I was wondering an idea for a game at the Old Public Library. And, said Kyle, you were so totally focused, you didn't hear the police sirens screaming past the library as they raced to the Gold Leaf Bank. The Blackbird was from Alexandriaville, said Sierra. The police siren wail was from that day. Miguel finished that thought when the Dandy Bandits tried to crawl into the bank. My goodness, said Mr. Limoncello. How could you kids know all of that? From the game clues, said Kyle. And from the story Dr. Zinchenko told us on Friday night when somebody asked her why a library building needed a bank vault door. She was already feeding us clues, said Akemi. The time is now 11 a.m., announced the ceiling lady. This game will end in 1 hour. Come on, said Kyle, heading for the door. It's the 11th hour, and we need to go check out the Wonder Dome again. They raced to the balcony. There it is, said Sierra. 364.1092, shouted Miguel. Woohoo! Cried Akemi. We're gonna win. Chapter 54. On the first floor, Charles was at long last video chatting with his Uncle James Willoughby III, the Librarian of Congress, who had finally shown up for the Ask an Expert call. Sorry for the delay, Charles. That's okay, Uncle Jimmy, Charles said, straining to smile and not scream. The time is now 11 a.m., announced the annoyingly placid lady in the ceiling. This game will end in 1 hour. Charles had to hustle. Sir, I know you're a very important, very busy man, so I just have one quick question. If I were a book on true crimes in the state of Ohio, where would you shelve me? Library of Congress classification? No, sir. Dewey Decimal. Ah, easy. 364.1. What comes after the 1 will depend on, of course, how many books a library. And Charles didn't stick around to hear the rest of what his uncle's answer was. He took off running for the closest spiral staircase up to the second floor. As he ascended the steps, 2 at a time, he saw Kyle Keeley and his entire entourage running down a staircase from the 3rd floor. Charles reached the 2nd floor balcony first. He darted around the bend, past the door to the 500s room, the 400s. Keeley and his crew were coming from the opposite direction, but Charles reached the door to the 300s room before them. He swiped his library card, yanked on the handle, and dashed into the room. He scanned the shelves and headed to his right. He heard Keeley enter the room. Glancing over his shoulder, Charles saw Keeley go left. Charles dashed up an aisle between bookcases, and he read the numbers at the end of each row of shelves. 310, 320, 330. One of those robots with the book baskets came rumbling across his path, but Charles was able to dodge it. 340, 350. Keeley's footsteps pounded up the passageway on the other side of the shelving units to his left. In the middle of the 300s room, they entered an open space with a judge's bench and witness box. Charles was getting closer to the true crime section, but so was Kyle. Charles saw Keeley read something off of his palm. He had the whole number card. It was time to change tactics. So Charles hung back and let Keeley take the lead. Kyle rushed toward a bookcase, and Charles sprinted after him. Got it, Kyle shouted as he reached for a book on the shelf. But before he could completely pull it out, Charles grabbed the book and held on to it. They both yanked it off the shelf, and Kyle had the spine, Charles had hold of the top. and they tugged it back and forth. While they wrestled with the book, Keely's teammates caught up with them. "Careful, Kyle," called Sierra Russell. "Don't hurt the book." Charles grinned. Keely, the sentimental sap, was listening to the silly, bookish girl and eased up on his grip, giving Charles his chance. He body-checked Keely, slammed into him with his shoulder, sent him flying, and the book tumbling. Charles snatched it off the floor. He had the book, and he quickly flipped through the table of contents. Saw Chapter 11 was about a robbery at the Gold Leaf Bank in Alexandriaville. He knew he had won the game. Charles used his free hand to slap an L on his forehead. "Loser," he sneered at Keely. A tiger roared, a whistle blew, and Mr. Limoncello entered the room, accompanied by Clarence Clement and what looked like to be a rare Bengal tiger. "Mr. Chillington?" Charles smiled. He knew Mr. Limoncello was about to congratulate him for defying the odds and winning the game. He had single-handedly defeated Kyle Keely's entire team. "Yes, sir, Mr. Limoncello?" "Do you remember Dr. Zinchenko's #1 rule?" "You bet, sir. No food or drink except in the Book Nook Cafe." "No," said Mr. Limoncello, touching the tip of his nose and making a buzzer noise. "Dr. Z, tell him what he should have said." Dr. Zinchenko's voice purred out of the ceiling speaker. "Be gentle with each other and, more importantly, the library's books and exhibits." "I know," said Charles, "and that's why I had to stop Keely. He was ready to rip the cover off this poor book. Heck, sir, everybody at school knows that Kyle Keely is a maniac, and he'll do anything to win a game." Mr. Limoncello turned to Keely. "Is that true, Kyle? Would you actually destroy property if it stood between you and your prize?" Well, sir," Keely was stammering. The fool didn't know how to lie. And Charles quickly opened the book to Chapter 11 and slipped in his library card to bookmark the location. "You should ask Keely about the window he broke, sir." Mr. Limoncello turned to face Charles again. "The window?" "Yes, sir. The whole school heard about it. See, Kyle Keely and his two brothers were playing some sort of wild scavenger hunt game, and Mr. Limoncello pointed at the book. "That's clever. You used your library card as a bookmark." "Yes, sir, I sure do," said Charles, turning on the charm. "And of course, I can't take full credit for this such a clever idea. On Friday night, I saw Sierra Russell doing it, and you told Andrew Peckelman to borrow her card." Charles blinked several times. "I beg your pardon?" "You broke Dr. Zinchenko's #1 rule. You were not gentle with your teammate, Andrew. In fact, you bullied him into stealing Miss Russell's library card, which you knew she always used as a bookmark." "No, sir, I did not." "Yes, Charles, you did." Mr. Limoncello touched his right ear. "In fact, Dr. Zinchenko has spent the past few hours combing through security tapes, and guess what she found?" Charles heard his own voice ringing out of the ceiling speakers. Have you noticed what Sierra Russell uses for her bookmark? No. That was Andrew, said Mr. Limoncello. This is you again. Her library card, which of course doubles as a key card for Meeting Room B. Find a way to borrow it. You told Andrew to steal Sierra's library card. How could you record that? Said Charles. I was whispering. And I have very good microphones. You're done, Charles. Dr. Zinchenko? Tell our departing guest what he has just won. Absolutely nothing, said the voice of the Russian librarian. But please, Mr. L., tell Charles the correct answer to the final pictogram. Ah, yes. Mr. Limoncello reached into his back pocket and pulled out a 4x4 card and showed it to Charles. Charles stood there fuming. Anyone care to help Charles out? Said Kyle. Is it 6 eat? You're very close, said Mr. Limoncello. There was a pause. Then Haley laughed. Did it come after the football player? Yeah, said Charles. So Andrew was right all along, said Haley. The football player clue wasn't past. It was 19. Mr. Limoncello shifted into his game show voice. So, Haley Daly, do you care to solve the puzzle? Sure, you can walk out the way bandits crawled in 1968. I don't get it, said Charles. 1968, said Akemi. You know, 1968. Ah, yes, said Mr. Limoncello. The year from the mixed-up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frank Whaler won the Newbery Medal for Excellence in Children's Literature. Another clue you completely missed, Charles. Wow, said Miguel, and I thought Chiltingtons never lose. There's a first time for everything, said Mr. Limoncello. Clarence, Clement, kindly escort young Mr. Chiltington from the building. Bye-bye, said Akemi. There goes the game's biggest loser.